stint from the NFL where Andy Reid isn't going anywhere, people. The Chiefs announced the contract extension for the 66-year-old head coach, as well as GM Brett Veach and the team president, Mark Donovan. Reid's deal is going to run through 2029, and NFL Network reports that it's going to make him the highest-paid head coach in the league. And remember, Kansas City coming off their third Super Bowl title in the Reid era. They've also won 8 straight AFC West titles and have made 6 straight appearances in the AFC title game. For now, or for more, I should say, let's welcome in our NFL analyst and 2-time Super Bowl champ himself, Bryant McFadden. And look, B-Mac, there was a lot of talk after the Super Bowl that Reid, he might hang it up, right? Clearly, that's not happening. So what do you make of Big Red staying in Kansas City for half a decade?
This is huge for the organization. This is huge for the fan base. I mean, this is big time for all of us as well, right, Chris? Because we're in the midst of talking about this dynasty the Chiefs are currently involved in, of course, trying to win their 3rd Super Bowl in a row, something that we've never seen done in the Super Bowl era. This is huge when you talk about the commitment, right? So one would think and one would assume Andy Reid is not making this commitment, not knowing if Patrick Mahomes will be the quarterback the rest of the way when you look at the length of his contract. So clearly there have been some communication when you talk about Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes just staying tied to the hip with that organization, which is huge because when you look at that player-coach relationship, one of the best relationships that we've watched in the National Football League. So when you talk about just having that stability on the offensive side, and don't forget, Chris, as well, remember, they signed Steve Spagnuolo to an extension a week or so after winning the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. So now they have their defensive coordinator locked up for the long term. The same can be said for their head coach and play caller. So the structure they have on the coaching staff is huge when you look at the development and the production that they've been able to do with those 2 guys on the sideline, in Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid.
2 of the best coaches in the game by far. Now, the other thing we have to talk about, B-Mac, Reid's age. So he's going to be 71 by the time this contract runs out. Do you have any concerns about the length of this deal, or has he earned the benefit of the doubt that he's still going to be able to perform at a high level and have that creativity with the offensive schemes once he does reach 71?
Now, I don't have any issues with the deal because I think 5 years is a nice sweet spot for Andy Reid, especially when the motivation is still there. And most importantly, winning. Who gets tired of winning, right, Chris? Who gets tired of being successful? I mean, that's something that we're all driven by, is winning and trying to continue to do something that many people say that you can't do. So when you talk about the 5-year window being 71, last time I checked, Bill Belichick just finished coaching. I think he was 69 or 70, if I'm not mistaken, and he clearly wants to continue to coach. Unfortunately, he will not be coaching this year. So I think that's a nice sweet spot for Andy Reid. And when he hits that 4-year plateau or that 5-year plateau, then it's something to think about. But when you look at this window, this 5-year window, and seeing how well this team has been able to perform with Pat Mahomes, one would think, barring good health in a 5-year stretch, they should at least, bare minimum, right, Chris, see 2 more sticky Lombardis?
Hey,
I think that's at the bare minimum. I think that's doable.
As long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are there, Travis Kelce, I think it's very likely. Now, speaking about hoisting more Lombardi trophies, they're going for an unprecedented 3rd straight Super Bowl, which would be crazy. Do you think they get there from what you've seen so far and what you expect going into the season?
Man, I'm not betting against Kansas City. I'm not betting against Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, Steve Spagnuolo. What they did last year for me, watching how they were able to win ball games and win the championship, I feel like this was the time to really catch Kansas City sleeping at the wheel because they had some issues on the offensive side. The wide receivers were dealing with drops. They weren't as efficient as what we've seen in years past, especially scoring points per ball game, but their defense prevailed. And then, of course, the offense came to the party, making timely plays that led them to win a championship. One would think they will improve their team on both sides of football, specifically speaking on the offensive side. So what happens to the rest of the National Football League? What happens to the rest of the AFC West if this team that just won a Super Bowl, and what I saw, it was kind of like a down year because we didn't really see the video game-like numbers that we've seen in years past from Pat Mahomes? What happens if they improve when it comes to the personnel with talent? So to answer your question, no question, I'm not betting against Kansas City. Until I see otherwise, I have to ride with Kansas City. Now, anything can happen. That's why the game of football, the NFL, is such an entertaining league, because anything can happen. But number 15 has shown all of us, going back to a year ago in 2022, he was able to prevail on a one leg, one ankle. Then going back to what we just most recently witnessed, dealing with inconsistencies at the wide receiver position, he still found a way. You better believe number 15 will find a way in 2024.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm never betting. I bet against KC when they played the Ravens. Never doing that again whatsoever. B-Mac with the latest, giving great perspective on Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes, he loves it, saying yes, sir, as Andy Reid is going to be the head coach of Kansas City through 2029.